Live from Studio G right here in the heart of America, I'm Steve Gruber, saying the things that you wish you could. I say them every day because I'm fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom to defending this great nation. Looking forward to winning again, aren't you? This is the Steve Gruber Show. Three big stories you need to know right now. Number one, the state of Texas is taking control of city parks in Eagle Pass so they can detain and toss out illegals trying to come into the country illegally there. And of course, the progressives are screaming mad. Number two, the German farmer revolt is continuing, with truck drivers and rail workers joining them in rejecting the failed progressive policies that would destroy the production of high-quality food. I'll have an update on that story as well. And number three, we have to join together to stop the destruction of the progressive socialist policies on America. We have to do it now. I say that with the annual meeting of the Globalist Elites about to start in Davos, Switzerland, where they, the rich and powerful, will discuss what to do with you and me. I mean, they'll be taken care of, and so will we, just in very different ways. They will dine on fine Wagyu beef, caviar, and lobster, whilst they discuss how you and I must be forced to eat cricket powder and sustainable protein. They'll get into town on their Gulfstream 550s while figuring out how to strip all the peasants around the world of the right to own a car and the self-determination where that car might take us. Never mind letting us fly anywhere ourselves, own a boat, an ATV, or a snowmobile, because those surely must be banned while they fly to the moon. They'll scream about the global perils of climate change while downing the best vintages of Cristal and Cognac, declaring the peasants must be forced into 15-minute cities for the betterment of the planet, that they're fleecing every single day in pursuit of ever more opulence and wealth for themselves. The globalist elites like Klaus Schwab and George Soros live in their mansions behind heavily guarded walls, telling the rest of us we are cold-hearted and racist if we reject the agenda of flooding Western nations with hordes of third-world people that have no interest at all in being American or French or British, but will be happy looting and pillaging and, yes, even raping whomever they can after they burst into their nations illegally. The globalists, while hiding behind their private militias and security guards, demand that the rest of us sad sacks disarm and turn our guns over to them. Well, they promise to protect us, of course. Anyone who has ever read about Wounded Knee or 100 other places in America or around the world knows quite well when they tell us we don't need guns, that we damn well do. And we need them now more than ever. Can I take on the U.S. military, an F-16 or an Abrams tank? No, I can't. But I will not simply surrender my birthright as an American, as a free man, to some progressive tyrant who claims they know what is best for everyone else while they can't run their own lives or their own budgets. Speaking of birthrights, I will not be silenced either. I will speak up. I will be heard. I will embrace my God-given First Amendment right every single day. I will call a spade, and I will do so without fear or favor and without regard to whom I am calling out. Your political party has no defense against the truth, and your party didn't exist, let me be clear, when the Constitution was written, and therefore has little meaning to me on most days. Here's a fun fact about me. I've never been a member of any political party. That's never going to change. Come to think of it, neither am I. I will always believe in America first because, yes, I am a nationalist, which, by the way, is perfectly normal and patriotic. It's not a dirty word when used honestly. I'm not some cartoonish character creation of the progressives that somehow, by believing in America, I am a white supremacist or some other social deviant. I'm not. I'm a man who believes in the promise of America and the American dream, and to me that means having the right to get up early. For me, that usually means up by about 5 and to bed by about 9 if I'm lucky, to pull together the most accurate and compelling information I can to share with you and anyone else that comes by and takes a moment to listen. And if they do, well, they just might learn something by opening up their minds. That's right. The American dream to me is having the right to work your ass off and make as much out of your life as possible. I believe in the pursuit of happiness, and I will be the only one that defines what that means for me. It won't be you or anyone else or any progressive tyrant. My happiness will not be defined by some self-righteous tight ass in Davos wearing a silk suit stitched together by some young kids in a sweatshop in China while giving allegiance to the Chinese Communist Party, either quietly or directly. Here in America, that means the Democrats must be beaten. And not just beaten, I mean destroyed in this coming election. It must be a message that is so powerful that it leaves no doubt that we, the people, are rejecting any notion of the progressive socialist agenda that forces school kids to think some are victims and some are oppressors, that tells little kids they can change their gender while keeping it secret from mom and dad. We must annihilate the Democrats in the election so badly that we'll never suffer through another pathetic presidency like we're witnessing now, with wide open borders, criminals running wild, and money being shoveled to every half-baked idea imaginable, while our veterans sleep in the streets next to junkies getting free food and money from Big Brother. No more. We demand better. Joe Biden is a failure. And he's a failure by any metric. You don't have to love Donald Trump. You don't even have to like him. But if you're an honest person, you do have to admit that we were far better off during his time in the White House than we are right now. We had more jobs than ever, the lowest inflation ever, private home ownership at its highest level ever. And it didn't matter who you were or what you looked like. When Trump was in charge, no matter what you think of him, we were far better off and in a better place than we are right now. We need him back in the White House. This experiment with a guy who cannot even find his way off the stage or stay on a bike that isn't moving or read a teleprompter with massive font size that does not now and will never stand for anything, this experiment must end now. Anyone who voted for Joe Biden before and would do so again under the banner of I don't like Trump is an idiot. An idiot. No other way to look at it anymore. There's just not. Joe Biden has failed us all. Right now, there's only one sane choice, and that is putting Donald Trump back where he belongs, the Oval Office. With that off my chest, let's get to Free for All Friday, shall we? You ready? The toll-free hotline number, 877-310-9966. 877-310-9966 is the Common Sense hotline. It's toll-free. I'm going to get tuned in here so I can see who's coming up on the phone, so I am ready to go. Mr. Producer, send it to where you always do so we know what's going on. What do you think of that? What do you think about getting rid of Joe Biden? What do you think about everything that's gone on this week in Washington? What about Hunter Biden showing up? What about the German farmers rising up and saying, look, you're not going to take our farms? I got about a minute here. If you got one you can yell in my ear, I'll take it. As we look here.
David in Texas.
All right, we're going to go to David in Texas. Well done, Mr. Producer. David, how are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you, Steve Gruber. I appreciate all your time that you're putting on here and opening up the calls and for questions and everything. I have a comment about or kind of a question about Governor Abbott of our state of Texas. And you mentioned that you're not a Republican, you're not a Democrat, and haven't been part of any party in your past.
It's true.
Well, that's exactly what the Constitution says. We're supposed to be united under one Constitution there. And so we have a state constitution, we have a federal constitution
Real quick,
limiting
David.
those governments. Yes, and Texas Government Code 431 is about the militia. The Second Amendment was guaranteed to the states so that they could protect against tyranny.
Let me answer that after the break. All right, David, we're going to talk about the Second Amendment and the assaults thereof.